hello, and welcome. Pommy, I'm echoing, mate. Fix that up.
Oh, wait. Sorry, I've just come out of a studio. Cole.
Hello and welcome to Media Watch, guys. Episode 2 of Media Watch here on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. This is exciting. This is very, very exciting. Pommy, firstly, hello. How are you feeling after last night?
Mate, always gravy when you've got 4 points, and we've now got 8 of them. Hey, round one's played, and we've got double points because the AFL loves us. But good, isn't it? Hey, do you know what I mean? Just 2 down and about another 25 to go. Hey, so just keep knocking them down. Just keep knocking them down.
One. Yeah, wow. I had 3 hours sleep last night. What were we thinking being on the fan cams until 2:30 in the morning? Can someone explain that to me?
Well, I mean, the stereotype is we don't have a life, and we appeal to that stereotype every freaking week because that's what we're about. But I mean, there it is. I mean, we do it for the joy. I mean, big shout out to everyone. I am going to do a big thank you post, but you got me to 5K. You know what I mean? My pathetic existence is slightly validated a little bit more now with that.
Yep, absolutely. Well, so what the purpose of this show?
Terry's so tired.
I'm so tired. The purpose of this show is basically just to go through media reports, whether they be articles, whether they be videos, podcast clips, whatever, just to go through and see the narratives that are being pushed, the agendas that are being pushed, and to have somewhere to just dissect it all respectfully. Of course, this isn't a witch hunt. We're going to do it in a classy way, and just have a look and see, and have a mechanism to keep the mainstream media accountable for what they're writing and what they're getting paid to write and say. Is that right, Pom? That's about right.
Yeah, we don't want to turn this into a witch pursuit thing, as South Park famously said. No, I mean that's it. I mean, basically, I also think, we've lost that in 2024, haven't we? Like, the sat on Dad's knee and he reads you the paper stories. We've lost that. So like you guys are our children and we're dads, and you come and sit on our laps and we just chat things. I've tried to make that sound less weird the more weird it got.
That just continued to go down a rabbit hole, but
I was like, I've got to backtrack out of this. We are totally live, Jimmy R. So
yeah, mate, we are live. We are absolutely live. I am delirious at the moment. We're certainly live. It's good to have you all here. Paul, welcome to membership. Welcome. Now, let's start because it's just great. Now, this is actually even great. This is actually even better, the timing of this, because it came at a time. This was Kane Corns. We're going to start. Kane Corns after Harry kicked his 3 goals last week. And, we obviously called them out a little bit about their narrative around Harry. We spoke about Damien Barrett and what he said, etc., etc. And let's just take a look at this clip. This was after last week, and this actually looks even worse. This looks even worse. Dear, now that we're here, have a look at this. Also, thank you so much to Up the Baggers on Twitter because you make this show possible. Have a look.
Wednesday night about Harry McKay, that until he gets his kicking right, that's just a story. Everyone just doesn't talk about his football. They'll just keep talking about his kicking. But to his credit, he had 4 shots, he kicked 3. And he's going to have his bad nights. But if you can just be more consistent. And what he did really well on this night was everything was the same. So he did miss one where he dropped the ball poorly out of his hand, but there was no snaps. It was 4 drop punts. So he did the same thing every time. And to his credit, he was the best man on the ground. And we can celebrate what a great game he played, not the misses.
Could that be the circuit breaker for him?
Oh, yeah. Like, if you nail your first game and you win a team for your team, for your side, that's what you need. Confidence, goal kickings between the ears for sure.
Okay, speaking of in between the ears, here it is. It is the opening salvo for season 2024, the Volcano. You're liking this one. Back it up.
Well, just on that topic of Harry McKay, I noticed this from Charlie Curnow and Nick Newman, his teammates, after the game.
We're extremely happy with him. And then just back to Big H holding that moment there. I think that can put the media to sleep a little bit. So
Well done, H.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the commentary about him this week, Sydney. Yeah, bloody proud of H. I think he cops it pretty unfairly at times. He's been in great form, but he works as hard as anyone I've ever seen.
Well, Nick, the commentary should be around that is what he's expected to deliver. Yes, he was great. It was a big moment. It was a clutch moment, and it was an outstanding start to the season. But you are a player that Carlton have invested nearly $1 million a season in for 7 years. That is what you do. Like, this shouldn't be an out-of-the-box moment that this is just some outstanding game. That is the expectation. You're not going to kick the winning goal every week, but that performance should be consistently what he's able to produce for the year. That's what Tom Hawkins has done for 16 years. That's what Jeremy Cameron does. That's what Toby Green does. That's what Jesse Hogan did yesterday. So let's not give him the flowers and celebrate what an amazing game it was, which it was. That should be the expectation of the way that he performs for a player who's absolutely in his prime, who earns nearly $1 million a season for the best part of 7 years, and needs, with Charlie Curnow, to carry Carlton to a premiership.
Hang on, if they, we really are the most precious bunch in the world, aren't we, sports journalists?
I just think that should be the expectation.
No, but let me just say, if he's getting whacked around the ears every week, right, be it by Lordo, be it by you or whoever, surely they're entitled to give a little jab back.
And that's fine.
Okay, fine. That's what they did.
The jab is fine back.
I love the.
But let's not just go, okay, that's one game. Let's celebrate this. Let's hand him his flowers. He's arrived. That should just be the expectation that you kick 3 goals in a big game on the prime time stage. That's really the expectation.
If they
of what
said
you
it in
should do.
2 months, should be different, isn't it? If he does that and he's suddenly kicked 30 goals, 8 in 5 weeks or 8 weeks' time, then we'd celebrate it more than 1 week.
Yeah, it's a premature reaction to one game.
Well, this is the whole point. This is why you end up having robots pulling on football boots, because they're too scared to actually say anything. Because if they try to actually humanise themselves, as that was there, right now,
I'm just answering the question. What are the media going to say now? I'm not upset about it. I'm just going to say, well, the media are going to say that's what you should deliver. That's the reputation that you've got in the game. That's the investment the club has made, and that should be a reasonably standard.
Well, are you offended by it, Damon?
No, and I see get Kane's point. I mean, I was one of the critics too, and I copped it like you did after the game, and I was wrapped.
No, you didn't. You're about to.
I just went through. I really genuinely did, and we made comments. And to Kane's point, actually, just listening to him say it, he is a Coleman medalist, and he kicked 3 goals in a win. It has to be the norm. I mean, it's a good context.
Last year he kicked 29 goals, 29. So that's where we're saying he's got to get better this year.
Discuss.
It's one of them bizarre things, isn't it? Like I always think that that's like just one of them wonderful, like weird things about humanity. Because you've been paid to do something, there has to be an expectation of output. But then also there's that other one where if you're paid millions, you deserve 100 times the criticism. So if you're earning 70k a year, you get this much insults. But if you're on 7 million a year, it has to be exponentially more. And I just find it bizarre because, like, you heard old Damo, with his glasses saying that 3 goals needs to be the norm. Does it? Do you know what I mean? Because the thing that annoys me with the Harry media, right, is you mentioned Jesse Hogan, who, no disrespect to Jesse Hogan, you heard Lloyd say that Hogan does it every week. Hawkins does it every week. They contribute in other ways when Jeremy Cameron's kicking 20 down the other end. And they're lauded for it. I remember the Hawkins game when Cameron kicked 7 and I think Hawkins kicked 1 goal 1 last year. Hawkins was lauded for his ability to work up the ground and allow Cameron there, which I think people forget last year, even though Harry, in his own words, wasn't kicking well. Charlie probably won the Coleman on the back of Harry's hard work in some of them games because he didn't have to. So I do find it like this bizarre narrative. And then you hear them when it gets thrown back on them. They have to defend themselves. They have to defend themselves and almost make out, this is just our job. Well, yeah. And the bit that really annoyed me, is how they use Newman clips and Curnow clips as if a player shouldn't have support from his own teammates. Like, massive. That's the big story for me. The boys rallied around him.
Yeah, and it's really fascinating, and I think this is a culture of footy journalism. It's it's very adversarial. It's never empowering. I mean, I think you need to have a balance between like who's performing poorly and calling it out and relative to contract, etc. I think that's fair and reasonable. But then when you get a breakthrough like that, and I mean, we'll see what happens this Sunday if they bring up Harry McKay again, because he's had another really good game, contributed really well, kicked the ball relatively well for goal, put another 3 on the board. But it's just this culture of the gotcha moment when they do interviews. Like I just think of Mike Sheehan's old interviews. I think of Mark Robinson. Like it's nitpicky, it's adversarial. It comes from this foundation of wanting to find a flaw as opposed to wanting to find what's going well and what's working in the game and what's great about the game. And I don't know if it's just a subconscious bias against Carlton because, you know, these people probably don't like Carlton, they don't support Carlton, they didn't play for Carlton, etc. And they enjoy talking about Carlton. And also talking shit about Carlton sells, you know? So it just, the undertone of it all, it's just so adversarial and it's really weird.
It's one of them funny things though, isn't it? I think when I thought Chompers nailed it there. Like, and that is a bigger problem with the media. Okay, the criticism of his kicking technique, I think I've seen that from Carlton fans. I think I've seen that from many people. Last year, people were saying, why is he not drop bunting? But then I see him rectify it and do all the right things in just that one game. Let's take the Richmond game out of it. But you've given him that media furnace for probably 2 weeks, and that was all anyone talks about. And they're saying, oh, well, we're not going to buy him flowers. Why don't you give him the credit, though? Like, why don't you set the example? Like, and say, you know what, this week has been stellar. And that is, you could word the narrative. And they're all ex-players. Do you know what I mean? 90% of that board are ex-players that we were watching there. Why can't they say, look, this week, fantastic. This week, brilliant. If we see that Harry 24 times this year, Coleman medal. Coleman medal. Do you know what I mean? All Australian. But why do you have to word the narrative of, oh, we're not going to give him any kudos? Because now they're downplaying it's just his job. And I would say if you're really sincere with 7 million over 7 years, it shouldn't just be his job. He should be the best player on the park. So if you're going to go with that narrative, be consistent. So, yeah, and you know what? I think what I take out of that there is just how big Stronger Together is. Like, because I think that's a big moment. I said it the other week. He missed that goal against Brisbane. I think people aren't looking at it the right way. That could have been career over because the media would have jumped on. And you know what would have been worse? The fans would have done. Can you imagine Harry pulls that for a behind, Carlton lose, or he shanks it and Carlton lose? Can you imagine the rubbish and the hatred and they drive it? The media would be driving that.
Oh my God!
And it potentially could have been the end of his career.
Yeah, they would have been calling a petition for Fev to come back to teach him how to kick, for Lloyd to go down and teach him how to kick. Yeah, wow. It's a game of it's a life of margins. It could go either way.
And after that game, Doc got injured, so you would have had the worst petition you ever see from Carlton fans. Bring back Fev and then get Cooter in as the fitness guy and sack Russell. And you'd be like, there we are. Clean sweep.
This is what I thought was interesting. Damo said there, I copped my whack. Well, you ran away from your whack with respect, Mr. Barrett. You blocked everyone on Twitter who had an opinion based on your opinion, didn't give them the right of reply. And that's why this show was created, because no one's getting blocked here for talking about what they thought about Damien Barrett's opinion of Harry McKay. It was less about having an opinion from Damo and more about it was just clearly he's got 18 teams to cover in that article every Friday, and he just couldn't be, well, Thursday, whenever it came out, and he just couldn't be bothered doing anything else for Carlton other than talking about Harry McKay. So,
you know, Damo and Kane Cornes are really good as well at just making, like, Kane Cornes is the world's biggest culprit in the media. He will always find something that contextually fits his argument. So Hawkins, Hogan, Cameron were all mentioned, right? he's got a 55% kicking accuracy as Hawkins, right?
Mm.
And he's remarkably over his career, right? He's trumped that. It's a lot longer than Hawkins. You just isolate the one bad year. So remember, this is all from the one bad year. The one bad year. Because before that, Harry's goal kicking stands the test of time. It's right in that 57% bracket. So if you isolate that, and that's what you should do when you do stats, you isolate the anomaly, he's bang on. So I don't know where the narrative has come from, because the year before that, Charlie won the Coleman, but everyone was quite happy with Harry's output. Now he's at 60%, which is far better than Hawkins, far better than Hogan. So you've always got to look at it as well, that when they use that narrative, if you actually break it down, they are complaining Harry had a bad year last year, goal kicking accuracy. That's fact. 30% is woeful. But his historical data says that he's a 55% player. We look at another 55% player, Tom Hawkins. I'm sure right now, if you said to Carlton, Harry McKay will be as good, if not equal to, Tom Hawkins when they first drafted him, they would have bit your hand off. So that's the annoying thing. It's always just the narrative isn't quite true if they just stuck to some facts. And I think it's very important when you analyse, you've got to be true. You've got to be true and give context.
Well, we're in a different world now. We're in a different world now where the distribution of opinion is not limited to a select few platforms. There's an unlimited amount of people who could distribute their opinion on any given topic in this world. So back in the day, 10, 15, 20 years ago, you could say things to get a bit of a reaction, but the reaction was where? In conversations on the street, as opposed to this platform where you can access these commentators and tweet at them or write to them or email them. So that's where I think that the industry can really evolve. I mean, if I look at people who I think do it really well, I love listening to guys like Cal Toomey, Riley Beveridge, and it's just probably further to the point about in the industry in general. Look at what happens when you start investing in the next generation of commentator. I mean, from the very top, less about a commentator, but Laura Kane, new generation of administration, someone who's come from a new generation, new part of the world, a digital kid, so to speak. I respect guys like Robbo a lot, but I watch it and I'm like, respectfully, like, are we still here? Like, are we still here? Are we still talking, making these gags, making these jokes? Is this really the representation of who the footy community is? And when are we going to move forward and start investing in these newer? Who's the next generation of media commentator on Fox Footy, etc. I mean, players, I understand you want to keep them in jobs, and I really do get it because they played the game at the highest level and all of that. But it's an old white man's game. You know
what? You've nailed it there. And Wayne makes a great comment. Media companies are scared of YouTube. And going back when I went back home, working with some of the soccer clubs over there, I can't believe I've used the S word. I hate myself. I apologise to any British people watching.
Disgusting. Disgusting.
Oh, you knew it was going to happen. You knew it was going to. But one thing when they were talking about like how YouTube has impacted the media, right? And it is really funny because there is an old joke a golf pro taught me when I came over here, and he was like, set your watches back. He said, put your watches forward 13 hours and set your mindset back 20 years. Enjoy Australia, because he lived over here for 15 years before he came to the UK. And it's very interesting because he said that when YouTube started coming out, the point that sold YouTube over the media was it was just, in his words, loudmouth idiots slating and getting angry so the 19 other clubs could watch it and laugh, right?
Right.
And he said, then the media started to change to that. In the UK, they saw, hang about, there's 1 million, 2 million, 5 million people watching this. They don't want to watch us be boring and talk football. They want us to be controversial. So then they started going to controversial. Now, the problem was, and this came from a very good coach in the UK who now works in the media, he said they had old guys with old mentalities, like you're talking, old white men, who they're controversial now was frowned upon in society. So we're talking sexist jokes. We're talking homophobic jokes. And they couldn't edit themselves, so they started making mistakes. That then created YouTube with people who were like you and me, wanted to be intelligent discourse, wanted to learn and share that learning environment. To the stage now where he said the media are in trouble because the only way they can gain relevancy is by bringing the YouTubers into their shows, because the young people are sick of being, in his words, and you watch our media, they talk down to you as if they're the expert. And he said, suddenly now, he said, you tune on. And it was amazing to watch, because I was thinking, I'd love to watch me and Terry go head to head with Damo and Kano in the studio. That happens now, and these YouTubers have no respect. They don't care you've played 500 games, because they're armed with intelligence and a list of stupid stuff they've said that contradicts stupid stuff they've also said. And then they can fire them on the point, and before you know it, you see these footballers know nothing about their game. They're just trying to get clicks. And people go to the YouTuber, and it's amazing watching the comments. YouTubers are more popular than the ex-players, the ex-pundits. And the AFL is very clever and in a very dangerous world, because eventually Champs Data will see there's more of us willing to pay for their systems than just one company, which is the AFL, right? And at the moment, the AFL are North Korea. And that sounds hard, but they control all the data, all the stats, everything possible to analyze this game. They have. The one thing they don't control is words. And shows like this, people supporting like you guys and girls in there, will drive a narrative change where they can't monopolize the tools. And once that damn wall breaks, tell you what, Kane Corns is going to look like the guy he is. And son of a very famous icon of South Australian football who truly has no compassion, no emotion, and he's all about clicks. He doesn't care about the game. He cares about his position in society. That's all he cares. And once that damn wall breaks, you'll see these people for who they are. And you'll see the people that want the game to develop versus be a soap opera.
One of my biggest, I don't know if it was thought strategies, but when I started doing YouTube, and I hold this to this day, and I am consistent with this to this day, I am no expert. I am a student of this game. I am here to give what I see, and I try my very best at the end of every video. I think I do it at every video, to ask the question back. What do you think? This channel's more about generating discussion than what it is, hey, I'm Terry and I'm the expert and this is what happened and this is the way it was. And I think that is a little, but significant part to what makes YouTube have a more community feel. Because we're not. I mean, I'm not an expert in this game. I didn't play this game growing up. I watched a lot of it. I'm a student of this game. I'm learning something about it every single time I watch it. And that is where I think we can create a bit of a solution to the current culture that we have. Like, I don't care for gotcha moments, scandal, drama. Like, it's cheap attention.
It's sad. It's sad. And like, there's still a place, I think, in this era to drive conversation. So in the UK, we have controversial people like Kane Corns who say stuff that drives a narrative that then encourages people to say, let's just use an example. Haaland wouldn't get into the Liverpool team. That was a very big one in the UK while I was over there. That drove a huge conversation of people starting to go, rubbish, Haaland's a better footballer. And then, I think it was Mark Goldbridge, doubled down and said, think about it though tactically, at this point in the season, Would they change their system in a title race? And then you started seeing people turn around and go, no, actually, that makes sense. Like, because he's a different type of player. And that is where controversy is good. It drives conversation. I'm with you, Terry. My knowledge improves every video because one of you guys and girls will point something out. And then I'll look at it and go, I didn't see that. I watch it and I'm like, okay, I like that. That's really good. And that is how we learn. And that is where the media in this country, with sport, they monopolize everything. Everything. So you can't intelligently fight it. You're hoping someone provides you the data. So for me, I'm with you, Terry.
You know what else? Shows like Footy Classified that, I think the evolution of shows to like what we do and what other YouTubers do, for example, like to have a live audience that you can pull up comments and questions and answer questions live, that interaction piece does not happen on a lot of these mainstream shows. They don't have that. Well, they have the ability to do it. A lot of them are pre-recorded, but the ones that are live, I think it's just a quick trick. Just add a live chat element, add somewhere where people can add their feedback. I know that's what makes radio pretty good. That was almost there. You text in your thoughts while they're on radio, etc. But anyway, let's move on. Got a few more to get through.
Mate, the art of deception, making the people think that they have a community, but they don't. Do you know what I mean? There's a very famous man who was a very evil person that wrote a book about how to manipulate the masses. And do you know what I mean? You see it quite often in the way that these entities work. And it's a shame. I'd love a show. Terry, sidetracking, how good would a fucking show be? You, me, Jake from Saints TV, Jesse from True Footy, with Kane Corns and Lloyd. And we bash it out, man. Have a robust conversation like adults. How good would that be?
It's ridiculous. It'll happen. Oh, surely it'll happen at some point.
Everyone wants to see me lose my rag and stop being like Bugs Bell saying some lovely comments about me and Terry. Tell you what, if Kane Corns kept chatting bare rubbish, he might get glassed on live.
I think Kane Corns would love it. I think he would. I actually think he would enjoy it a lot more. To be clear, I love Kane. I
like him sometimes. The thing that annoys me about Kane is I'd love him just to say, you know what? Well done. Bravo. Yeah. And I'm sure he does. Will Powell releasing his DMs, I'm sure Kane Corns is a nice bloke, right? I'd just love to see that in the media. They'll go, okay, I said he was shit. Bravo this week, though. Prove me wrong. Yeah. And I hope he proves me wrong round 24.
Yeah, use your shows and use your platforms to give kudos and celebrate the game. Don't nitpick at it. It's a great game.
Beautiful game. Let's do it.
Beautiful game.
Who's next? He wants knocking down a peg or two. Bring him
out.
Well,
maybe we'll stick with... We'll go to John Ralph. We love a bit of John Ralph here. Love a bit of John Ralph. This was about Jack Martin's contract talks. Pommy, this is great. Go for it, mate. Sure. How are we going to do this? You want me to read it out or what's the move?
Yeah, read it out. Terry, you've got the more aesthetically pleasing voice out of the two.
Okay. So, John Ralph, Jack Martin talks on hold. Carlton mid-forward Jack Martin will wait until the second half of the season to assess his contract worth as his $3 million 5-year deal expires at the Blues. Carlton is in an excellent position with its list management with only Martin, Matt Cottrell and Caleb Marchbank out of contract of the club's upper tier. Martin has plenty of clubs inquiring about his availability given the back end of his 2023 season was so strong as a running half forward with elite skills who showed increased physicality. That sounds very ChatGPT, but we'll continue. But while West Coast is a natural fit, they seem strong about heading to the national draft again. West Coast. Martin turns 26 in August, so he will be desperate to overcome a knee injury and bank a 20-game season given his best games tally in 4 years at Carlton is only 15. Is that ChatGPT?
I think it is, but I mean, just straight off the bat, chat, I thought we could have a bit of a laugh. This is the state of the journalism we have in this country, that if you Google Jack Martin, you get an actor who was in this our time. He's a beautiful Australian young man who is actually turning 26. Our Jack Martin, unfortunately, was born in 1995. He's 10 years younger than me, so he is 30. I'm 29. 30, he'll be 30 next year. But that one was the first bit that I saw. It absolutely made me laugh because I was reading it quite engrossed, but I was like, fucking hell, is Jack Martin 26? Like, I was like, he's had a rough paper out. That was what my brain was thinking. Maybe I don't look so old. And then I was like, hang about, he's 30 next year. But I wanted to do this article a bit different because I actually like this article from John Ralph because it's I think this creates a great conversation for us, right? Jack Martin, right? Re-sign him, right? Or is this one of the players that we look at the great dynasties in the draft who start trading out these 30-year-olds? We've been victims of this where we've bought a player because they come from a good club, right? Is this the thing of where now we look at that article, right? And we can dissect it in a bit, but based on the information we've got, Carlton, they've put the contracts on hold, which would indicate Carlton and him are probably not happy with the outcome awaiting. But is that one of them cases that if Ashton Moore breaks into the side round 12, absolutely tears the doors down? They've got Matt Kennedy. They've got players like Cottrell who have been rotating that position. Is that an area where Carlton go, right, Lemmy can be the third tall, Ashton Moore can own that position, and they start to cash in and we suddenly become a conveyor belt of talent? Because I thought it was funny West Coast because I can already see where the narrative is going, that West Coast have been linked with everyone. It's going to be like us, 2018. They need older players.
Interesting, eh?
But
I'm just going to type in Jack Martin on ChatGPT. Right.
Oh, no way. Terry pops the article.
Hey, if they write it, if they speak it, we will investigate it, okay?
Imagine
write an article about Jack Martin from Carlton.
Bro, imagine how embarrassing it would be to be Ralphie and some dude you on fucking live on YouTube recreates your article using a free web app. Oh, you'd feel right. Oh, mate,
Write an article. Hang on, wait. I got to get a little bit more clear with it. Hang on. How about I do this?
The Jack Martin, 26 years old, though, and it wasn't picked up by many people as well. Like, it was the first thing I was like, is he that young? Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, I thought he was like a granddad age. Like,
yeah. Hang on. Why is this not working?
Should just ask ChatGPT. Does John Ralph talk to you every day?
Write an article.
Yes.
About write 3 paragraphs about Jack Martin from the Carlton Football Club and his impending.
Yeah, his contract situation. His contract situation.
Expiring contract situation. Include his age. Let's have a look.
Terry, this comment here, I feel so bad. Look. As if someone's noticed it.
Yeah, I know. No, look, I've got to reset. I've run out of time. I have to reset the lights and get it back to blue. So yes, it'll be back. Okay. Hang on.
That's if you've replicated it.
What have I done? Jack Martin, a key player for the Carlton Football Club, finds himself in a pivotal moment as his contract nears its expiration. At 27 years old, Martin has established himself as a versatile asset for the team, showcasing proficiency in various positions on the field. His agility, skill, and tactical awareness have made him an integral part of Carlton's lineup since joining the club in 2020. However, as the end of his contract approaches, speculation mounts regarding his future with the club.
We need to change the name of this show to
Did we just bust John Ralph?
Mate, we need to change the name of the show to Pom and Terry Investigate, and it's just us defaming.
Bro.
That is almost identical. Like
I'm stunned.
the wording and the mannerisms of that is very similar.
I'm stunned.
I should be stunned, but Jesus Christ, is anyone actually?
Because clearly ChatGPT will just scroll the internet, type in Jack Martin and Google and find it, and obviously ChatGPT was wrong, 27 years old. Oh my God. I think we just busted John Ralph.
Well, you know the things I always find, the things that you know for fact. I remember my English teacher telling me that the most unacceptable errors are the ones you know as fact, because you should be able to double check them very quickly. The age is the one that I just find weird that you'd get wrong, because and that's where my spider senses went off, and I was like, I can't believe he's Googled Jack Martin. And it literally, if you go Google, type in Jack Martin's age, it pops up in big bold 25. So the way he worded it, 26 next year, I was like, okay, I see how he's made this mistake, but I can't believe I'm doing this for free. And this gentleman is getting 6 figures to just go write me a shit article on Jack Martin. God, life's not fair, is it? Like, I tell you.
Oh my God. Here.
Fucking
key player, 27 years old. Martin established himself as a versatile asset. Martin's expiring contract has sparked discussions among fans and analysts alike, with many eagerly awaiting news of a potential extension. Carlton's management faces the challenges of task of negotiating a deal that aligns with both Martin's aspirations and the club's long-term goals.
I don't know what's real anymore.
Give me
strength.
Add a potential club in the AFL.
If this says West Coast Eagles, that is absolutely it.
Traded to. If this says West Coast, the internet is under it. Oh, okay. Essendon Football Club. All right. Fair.
You know what, though, Terry? I read a lot of articles because, there's a lot of work goes into my videos. And straight away, how that's worded actually scares me, because I have seen probably about 20 articles this year already where they add a club, but then will then say he'll be wearing the blue and yellow of West Coast or the black. And it's a weird thing, because I've read it and I've gone, why would you have to add that? Like, when I read the article, I'm like, no one knows. Everyone knows what they wear. I think we might, Terry, you've debunked AFL media.
This show is just going to ruffle some feathers.
If me and Terry go missing, we've been taken out.
Yeah. So Libo's asking, is this article online? ChatGPT, we have used it. Well, no. So this is the old version of ChatGPT. It's 3.5. I don't pay for it. So it's, I believe, from 2021 or 2019 and earlier. So it would not have seen John Ralph's article. So, wow. Okay. This is great.
Terry, I feel like you've just taken me into blooming the White House and told me that everything's not real and it's a simulation. Don't know what's real anymore.
You know what? We could end the show right here and that's our job done. This is exactly what we are after, guys. We're investigating. We're using it. We're grounding our statements in evidence. We're doing a little bit of research live with you here and just making sure that whoever is writing such pieces, so what's going to happen now for the 166 of you watching? I hope that when you read your next article about whatever, you just spare a thought. Is this original?
I legit. But you know what that proves? If that has happened, so obviously this is just conjecture, but it was very similar.
Yeah.
That they are not even thinking of a narrative. They are just thinking, right, this would be a cool little article, wouldn't it? Wind Carlton fans up that the guy they're saying is very important to their system leaves. ChatGPT, there we are. See ya. Bye. Thanks. Which again makes it a very big concern to me. Very big concern. But I did like the article. I'm going to counter it. I did like the article because I think it gets us into the mind space of, to make a dynasty last, you've got to trade our assets. Unfortunately, shit doesn't get you gold. So he is a very good player and an integral part, I think, when fit. Is that something that Carlton look at? And what's the outcome? Do we want Ashton Moore to be best 23? Because I'd say if Ashton becomes it, Elijah Hollins owns it. Suddenly Jack Martin is probably in the conversation. Big name, big brand. WA, he's a broom boy. Like, before you know it, it'll become real.
All right. Let's move on. We'll finish off with Vossi and the bye.
My head is blagged. You've ruined my life, Terry.
Hey, this was your idea for the show. I just came to the party.
Don't know what's real anymore.
So this is relevant. This was 4 hours ago, and this was Lloyd talking about the game last night. Click here to play Matthew Lloyd's full comments about the game. Let's have a listen.
Yeah, I look forward to Vossi's press media conference or press conference. Doesn't give away a lot normally, but just wonder if he'll treat it like a loss. I'd consider that if I was the coach, treating it like a loss with the way I handle it with my players, with their lack of composure, the way they put the ball inside forward 50. That's not going to cut it, in my opinion, against the better sides.
Just Hutto, the last 5 minutes we touched on, with Richmond being down so many players, they had to be really disciplined and really composed if they were going to win. But yet in the first 5 minutes of the last quarter, they gave away 2 goals with pretty sloppy free kicks. So you think, he's his first goal. It wasn't Bolter's man because he's not taking the small forward coming back inside forward 50, but he just plows straight into the back of Owies. And then you go to the next goal, which De Koning marks a ball at half back. And for some reason, Baker tries to swat it out of his hands, which we've known forever that's 50. Now he gets what feels like about 75, but he knocks it over. And it's 2 goals in a game where not many are kicked, and Richmond need everything to go their way.
That's a great point.
Okay. Why did you bring this one to our attention?
Well, I thought this was really, really interesting from him because you've only got to go back to March, about this time last year, right? And Lloydie was really, 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 really hot on that. He was going out and saying Collingwood can win it and that they had the credentials. And one of the big reasons he had was that they fully embraced their forward line pressure, but more importantly, fully embraced their strengths of theirs, which was aerobic capacity and fierce tackling. And I found it weird that as the year goes on, and if you could just type in Matthew Lloyd, you'll find a load of articles throughout the year because he was very strong and he was one of the anti people of it's not sustainable. But he was a big part of them winning when they weren't the better team, winning when they weren't playing good football. And I found that weird that a professional sportsman would say that a win would be what he would consider a loss, when his narrative over the last 12 months was Collingwood look red-hot favourites because they don't know how to lose. They keep winning and finding a way. So I find that very weird that the narrative this year is suddenly shifted because it's us.
Once a bomber, always a bomber.
Yeah, but I mean, like, he loved Carlton. He loved Carlton. I mean, would he love Carlton over Collingwood? I just find it an interesting one. And he mentioned in that article as well that...
Sorry, I just have to cut it here. This might be comment of the season.
Wayne's having a spell, but it's one of them things. I just find with that, it makes no sense because I think I would go as I would always look at this. The last 5 times we've played, they've always been tight games and been moments that we've been separated by a little bit of class, a little bit of skill, a little bit of will and determination. And we were on the receiving end of Richmond. 2019, they ran over the top of us in the fourth. The narrative was Carlton will be all right. Richmond are just superior. I just find it very bizarre that AFL is probably one of the few sports in the world I've ever seen narratives about winning is a bad thing. Like, usually no one cares how you win. It's as long as you win. And I said it in my video today. You've got to be process-driven, results-led. The process was shit. but you move on to the next game because the result was good.
True. I'm just doing some background work here for our next article.
He's just on ChatGPT.
No, I know that what we want to talk about next will be about Sam Walsh, and I just want to get the clip up. That's all. Sorry, continue.
But yeah, I just find it a very interesting approach, and I don't want to say Lloyd has got it in for Carlton, but it does feel like the last 4 weeks he just can't say anything positive. Like, and I'm all about objectivity. I feel like if I criticise a team on my channel, try and find a positive as well. I try and let you leave with a positive, whoever you are.
Yes.
I just find it's going out of its way.
I want to find, was there a video? The next one we're going to do is Mitch Cleary and Sam Walsh, and we're going to talk, Michael Voss will be involved in this. When it comes to Sam Walsh, we want to find the bit where Mitch Cleary said that Walsh would be considering surgery, right?
Wait a minute.
Was it Up the Baggers that had it?
No, I've got it somewhere because my mate sent me it and did one of his whole panic things going.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he sent me a message saying, "Oh, if this is
you sent it to me on
you said."
Oh, one of those.
I got one of them.
But you said.
I got one of them.
Messenger, and I will get it up here.
Here we are. Wait. Right, here, right. Thank you. Jesus, I've got more tabs open here than
what's his name? Steve Jobs in the 70s.
Stop messaging.
I thought that was good. I thought that was really good.
That was good. I just nearly copied and pasted the article to the wrong person.
Oh, fantastic. Pommy, well done, mate. All right. Here we go, guys. Here we go.
I just nearly copied to one of was to someone random. I was like, they would be like, "Fuck's this from?"
Here we go. Once again, let's have a listen.
Will Day right now is running on the Alter G. Every Hawthorn fan wants to know. This is a guy who won the best and fairest last year. Hasn't played yet. Hasn't been seen this preseason with a foot fracture. It's crunch time next week for Will Day. He's got another bone scan next week, which will determine whether we see him in the next few weeks or that pushes through to mid-season. So a big watch this space on Will Day. Sam Walsh, I was told by someone at Carlton last week.
Let's go back. Someone at Carlton. Everywhere they go. Someone at Carlton.
Week that watching him run is like Sam Walsh. I was told by someone at Carlton.
Just watch the breath that he takes.
Yeah, and he looks down. He's lying.
Yeah. Watch the breath that he takes just before he says someone at Carlton.
Sam Walsh. I was told by someone.
Hey! Gotcha!
One at Carlton last week that watching him run is like watching an old man run. Next week is crunch time for him too, because when he attempts to bend the ball, tackle, kick, that is still
bend the ball.
A big challenge for Sam Walsh.
One more time for the people at the back.
Watching an old man run. Someone at Carlton last week that Walsh, I was
stand by.
Sam Walsh, I was told by someone at Carlton last week that watching him run is like watching an old man run. Next week is crunch time for him too, because when he attempts to bend the ball, tackle, kick, that is still a big challenge for Sam Walsh. If he doesn't get through the next week or two, that's when surgery will start to be discussed around Sam Walsh. So we hold our breath that the Blues can get one of their best young players back. But the next week is a hold your breath for the Blues. Will Day.
By you. Like, do you hear that? Like, fucking next 2 weeks is going to be, what? By you, Mitch. You will be the first person to put that article out. No other. Like, honestly, if you ever go into ChatGTP and say, can you write me an article on what it looks like to have no friends? It'll just give you a JPEG of him. Legit.
Yes. I want to get a little clip up before. Oh, sorry, I should have added this earlier, but I only just thought about it now.
I'll be filler. Like, honestly, Billy, you nail it. Stumbling. But you know the big thing for me? The big thing for me in this whole thing is the words he used. And I have never heard anyone describe. So if you were talking to a journalist and you were of authority at the club, you would not use the phrase, he runs like an old man. And I do find it quite interesting that Carlton have released, since all these rumours, images of him running. There's images of the besties seeing him running. Like, I tell you what, I'm cracking on old, but Sam Walsh runs pretty well. Do you know what I mean? So, very interesting, very interesting. And the use of someone affiliated with Carlton is probably the most loosest definition. Like what? Yeah, you saw some drunk bloke down at the Cricketers in a Carlton Guernsey Wednesday lunchtime. Yeah. Surgery.
Okay, I want to add it into this show because I think every time we see something that's a little bit suspect, we'll play it. So,
No.
hang on. hang on. Delete video. Let's go. Let's go.
Honestly, that is the most biggest lie I've seen.
If we ever find something that would be find a little bit suspect, so we've heard Mitch Cleary. Let's get rid of this. Let's hear from Sam Walsh himself. See what Sam Walsh had to say.
You know the difference in body language. I know. But the difference in body language. See, Sam Walsh maintained eye contact as he was talking the entire time, right? Which is one of the hardest things to do. Just this afternoon, just try and lie about something that's not going to upset someone's feelings and maintain eye contact. Even it's incredibly hard to do. It's incredibly hard to lock eyes. But he locked eyes with him, and then you've got freaking Mitch Cleary like, oh, it's like you know Mitch Cleary. I know someone at Carlton. I do. I know someone.
No, because honestly, initially when he said that, I'm like, okay. Thought we got rid of the whole leaks thing. I like Mitch. I do. I just think, no, I like Mitch. I think he's an example of the next generation coming through that the industry is clearly invested in. I like Mitch. I just thought that was a little bit of a porky, or it wasn't. It was like a mistruth. It wasn't a total lie. You know.
I think it could be something along the lines of like it's a fan has told him, like a super fan, or
like a fan who's like, "Oh, I've heard."
Yeah, like it didn't feel like it was validated, and I just think it's interesting. Sam Walsh, Voss, and who was it pre-game? Brad Lloyd. All of them are on the same wavelength. So, I mean, if he does have surgery, yeah, it's a problem because all three of them have had a good narrative. Yeah. But I just find, it's the third time this year he's used a Carlton source. And do you know what I mean? I can tell Mitch this for nothing. Anyone who's chatting to him obviously doesn't like Carlton.
Yeah.
So he's not a Carlton source.
Hey, if they write it, if they speak it, we will share it and we will digest it and dissect it. And that's a classic example. I didn't pick up on the breath before he said a source from Carlton until just then. So, wow. What have we done here, mate? What have we done?
Oh, I mean, it needs to be done though, because some people just don't look at it as well. Like the amount of DMs I had, Sam Walsh needs surgery, and the only thing that they had as evidence was Mitch Cleary saying if it goes on for 2 weeks, surgery might become a discussion. I'm like, it's not really evidence he needs surgery, is it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, if in 2 weeks he still hasn't pulled up, well, yeah, there will be a discussion around surgery, but that's not something that a source told you. That's probably common sense that they'll start discussing if surgery is an option.
And 2 weeks, I thought it was interesting. He might have already got the article in ChatGPT. Like, that's why he warned us 2 weeks. He's like, it's ready to go, baby. I've got a year's worth of articles just ready.
Wow. What a great episode. Do we have anything more? You sent me this one here.
It was, I think Voss is the last one.
Voss around the preseason and giving us some context. So This was regarding a heavy block of training in the last month, which could be partly responsible for our unconvincing performance against injury hit Richmond on Thursday night. Voss said planning for the Blues round 2 bye had included a push for players to go to the line hard heading into the Brisbane clash last week, which may have added to fatigue in a narrow 5-point win littered with skill errors. He said Jacob Wittering was likely to return after the bye, with Caleb Marchbank also available to play, but could not say when star midfielder Sam Walsh was set to resume full training. Voss stuck to Carlton's line that more information on Walsh and Jack Martin's progress would be provided when the Blues returned from their mini break next week, as he firmly denied more surgery was being considered for Walsh following his history of serious back issues. No, was the coach's response when asked if another operation was being looked at for the 23-year-old. We watched that last night.
Yeah, we did.
Walsh and Martin are just going to continue to progress what they need to go through. We'll update everyone when we get to next week and sort of let everyone know what's going on. Certainly, Weeders is progressing really well. I guess the round hasn't absolutely been set in stone just yet, but he'll be round 3 or 4, and Caleb Marchbank's doing very well as well. He's been in full training for a few weeks now, so he'll be right to go after the bye. Yeah.
Yeah, so I found this. I found Voss. There's 2 sources here I wanted to say. When we watched that last night, Terry, it was like, 2 a.m. But it was really a definitive no as well. It was like one of them no's, like, when my kids say, Dad, can I have $100 to buy Fortnite V-Bucks? And I'm like, no! Like, it's one of them. It's like, don't ask again no's. But I also really enjoyed, there's a real good thing with Voss. And when you look at him talk now, it's how confident he is. It's how matter-of-fact it is. He's not dancing around the questions. He felt confident. And I felt really comfortable with that scrappy win because he gave us so much intel. And I wanted to focus on the bit where he said a heavy training block, and that may account for the down in energy. Also probably accounts for the few of the players we've collected injured with little niggles and minor little issues in that period. And that's really important. That I thought that was a piece of information. People will focus on Walsh. People will focus on other stuff. But a heavy training load, which will account for the down in energy. I thought that was important because people talk about the injuries. S&C has been a big, big talking point. In that interview, Voss talked about how we ran out of the game and how the last 10 minutes was so important that they had the energy and they pushed the agenda, and he thought that was the best passage of play. S&C cops a lot of hate, but S&C never gets the love. And I think the biggest difference between us and 2019 is our ability to run and have them pressure moments for 4 quarters. And I think that was a very interesting thing that Voss gave you that without saying you that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, all I can think about is...
You know what? I might try and get blocked by Mitch Cleary this week just by dropping that on everything he says.
Mate, we don't need them. We don't need them to have us on their following list. They can block us all they like. We can just come here.
I think we should just have to put that on
there. Yeah.
Every post.
So, wow, we are officially going to be on Wank GPT watch from now on this show.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
Yeah, and look, there is also another reminder. This isn't the purpose of this show is not to be disrespectful and personally attack these people. It's just more about holding their work accountable. That's all, because they will dissect our boys, our coaches, all of it. And for the most part, our players, they won't respond. We saw a little bit of a response from Newman, Charlie, when it came to Harry, just to show a little bit of support. But I think generally, for the most part, we're not biting back. But we will be biting back. We, the fans, will be biting back.
Spawn, we're in your corner, boys.
Yeah.
Taking these melts out one by one.
Yeah. So I actually expect Mitch to be a lot better next week now that he's been put on notice. Mitch, we are watching. We are watching, great man. And we will be ready. And just remember, Pommy, if they write it, if they speak it, we will dissect it.
We will, and we'll be using Chat GPT to see if that helped you write it.
Yeah. So what I want to do for next week, I want to give us a little bit of homework. Those who are watching, and if you enjoy this show, if you see something from around the world, I mean, it's easy to point out what's wrong, but we want to also start bringing some solutions. If you see media, sports media that is, from around the world that you look at and you're like, oh wow, that's done really well, or that I like the way they talk about this, or something that's a really good example of investigative. I actually had one, I forgot to add it to the show today, but it's basically JJ Redick on his podcast, just the way that he breaks down the game of basketball, and like, I love it. I'm obsessed with it. I love the way he goes about it. Basically the video was about Kevin Durant and the way in which, like, we're all going to regret the way we talk about Kevin Durant now in 15, 20 years, and we're going to regret how we didn't appreciate his greatness. So that's what appeals to me. If any of you find things from around the world, Premier League, Sports Chat, Champions League, NBA, anything, send it in. Send it through. Just send a link to Pommy or I, or if you have the video, send it through to us, and we'll have it there. Pommy, what do you think, mate? How was that?
Hey, I love it. This is my favourite time of the week. Fast becoming it. It's good just to go through it and just dissect it and just try and see what they're on about.
Yeah.
Good darts.
All right. Well, I'm going to the MCG tonight. I'm going to the footy.
Mental.
Going to go watch. Who wins tonight, by the way? Collingwood or Sydney?
I tip Collingwood, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Sydney. I'll be worried if Sydney win, though, because that means that they might be the real deal.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. I think I tipped Collingwood at the G. So, yeah. Okay. That's it. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Thank you for being here. That was a great episode of Media Watch. We uncovered things that I did not expect that we would uncover live. Jack Martins, that is that the AFL media are potentially using ChatGPT, allegedly using ChatGPT to write their articles. Adam, mate, thank you, because you make this show a lot easier to happen, a lot easier to run, a lot smoother to run. Wow, I've lost it, mate. I'm delirious. Okay, I've got to get off. I'm going. Bye,
Cheers,
everyone.
guys. Love you. Go.